just said, I don't know why, but I feel like it just needs to be a small group this time. And I can't put my finger on why, but I just want to like hang out with them. Like we're in a living room setting together, drinking hot cocoa and just talk. So there is no specific agenda. I don't have some training that I've been working on for you guys. Um, I would love to hear where you are, or if you do have specific questions for me, let's do it. Let's do it. And any and all things. If you want to share praises, successes, concerns, whatever, I'm here. We're both here and would love to speak to those. So I'm just going to kind of open it up at this point, and see if anybody just has something they want to share. Joanna! Oh my gosh, could she be any cuter?
Well, let's do this. Oh, yay! Your earrings, they look so good. And you and Elaine are both wearing them. So fun. So fun. Well, let's do this then. Let's just have everybody, like we said originally, like let's have everyone just kind of share where they're from, how long they've been on the Plexus products. And then I said, and we can change this last question because it may be lame. It's not lame, but like, what is something that you are really grateful for that has come through Plexus, whether it's health, whether it's community, whether it's financial, just to kind of give that everybody just like a little glimpse into your heart and like what's going on with you. So I just shared, Harry, I'm gonna have you go next.
Hi. Okay, so I've been on the products for almost 3 years and the business for 2 years. I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We had a very late dinner, so I'm cleaning up the kitchen as we talked. Live in Fayetteville, and what I'm grateful for, I was actually thinking about this today as I was delivering presents to all of my level 1 workers today in the area. I'm just thankful for the community because I've had some really fabulous jobs in my lifetime and ones that have provided for me, not just financially, but just needs. You know, when I was a single mom, it provided childcare, and I've had jobs that have provided, you know, just needs in my specific needs in my life. But I don't think I've realized until after I started the business how much I needed a community. My desire has always been to stay at home with my kids, and not necessarily just stay at home, but just be available for them, like my school-age children. Because if you have school-age children, you know that they're still very needy. They want you there for their activities and their parties, and it was important for me to be able to pick them up from school and drop them off and all that. So I didn't realize how much I was missing community by having those type jobs that I wanted so badly, but lacked interaction with real people that were my height or taller, and instead of little people. So that has been the biggest blessing for me. And from that, I have gotten closer to Emily, and then closer to Emily and closer to people that I didn't even know 2 years ago. It's pretty incredible to, you know, I sent off a Christmas present today to one of my best friends, Shelby, and we didn't even know each other a year and a half ago. And she's without a doubt one of my best friends. So that was just a very unforeseen blessing from this that I just love.
Yeah, I can so relate to that. Like I've said for years that God has blessed so many relationships that I found through this company. I mean, not just having a common bond, but some of the wisest, dynamic, loving, kind, godly women that I just love surrounding myself with. You know, they say to surround yourself with people that you want to be like, or that you want to emulate or gain characteristics. And I have found that in so many different people in this company. It's been such a biggest blessing. And since I'm already talking, I'm going to share mine really quick. I've been with Plexus for 7.5 years. I just want to remind everyone, if you don't know this part of Emily and I's story, but I sent her samples probably within my first like 4 months of joining, and she threw them in the trash. So I love to always remind her of that. She still owes me a 7-day trial pack.
You still owe me coffee, so, and it was only 3 sticks. Only 3 sticks.
Let's pretend it was 7. Okay. Anyway, so I've been doing this for a while, and they have helped me in so many different ways with my health. But the thing that I love the most, or is just I count as a huge blessing, is, and my husband attested this, I feel like I'm a different person than I was when I first started. I had a lot of self-worth issues, a lot of insecurities, and this has pushed me in so many good ways that I feel like I'm meeting the potential of who I was meant to be. And I feel like this business, it shines light on your weaknesses. And so you have a chance to kind of collect those, look at those, and grow in those areas. And then it also shines light on your strengths. And I'm a big believer that a lot of times we don't even know what our strengths are because they're natural to us. They're natural giftings that we don't call those strengths out in ourselves. And I've been able to learn what those are by other people showing me where I'm gifted. And that's the same for all of you. We're all so hard on ourselves. I mean, if you're not, I mean, tell me your secrets. But negative self-talk is so common, especially in women. And we're going to recognize the bad things and the weaknesses about ourselves far before we're going to recognize our strengths. And so to be around a community of women that are pouring that belief into you and telling you what your strengths are, that is such a blessing. And that truly can change you from the inside out, so to speak, and just make you an overall just person of growth. So that is one thing that I count a huge, huge gift.
Oh, I'm going to piggyback off of that. Chris, I remember we went on a date. I'd started Plexus in January, and we went on a date a few months later. And he said to me, Em, you just seem really fulfilled. And that was just like a few months into it. And I remember feeling like that is one of the most beautiful things he could ever say to me, because he sees that this isn't me just going and being like money hungry or being an obnoxious network marketer. Like, he could see that it was fulfilling parts of my soul that had never been fulfilled before. My hope, obviously, all of us here love Jesus to our core. So my hope and my heart has always been in Jesus. Hi, sweet girl. Has always been in Jesus. But I think it's been really cool to, like you were saying, Tamara, to see like you're growing and you're realizing that your worth truly is in Jesus. Your worth is not in others and in what other people think. And then that trickles down to your children, and your children see that, and your children can see, like, you know, my mom has done this. My mom had, like, it's beautiful. It's truly beautiful. And it trickles down to your whole family. Okay, let's see, who's been here the longest after this? Kanya. Well, Kanya just jumped on, so we'll have Kanya go later. Caroline, will you go next?
Am I next longest?
Well,
that's funny.
Yeah. Well, Joanna's been around for a while, but you've been doing the business longer.
That's crazy. It still feels like I'm like brand new. So I have been on the products ever since pretty much Em started her business, so about 4 years, and just started doing the business about 6 months ago. So that's been good. And I'm currently in Kansas City, but we are moving to Northwest Arkansas. So we are have our house up for sale, and things are absolute chaos right now, but we are very excited. And I was going back and forth between, I was going to say both of the two things that y'all just said. One, I feel like I am like in the midst of a lot of self-growth and like building my confidence, but I can already tell like a difference from when I started this day one, just, you know, like even in social media and posting and sort of just like pushing myself to get out there, I think, and just be me and be confident in that. And so that's been a really cool thing that I think I've like seen a lot of growth through. But also I think just like watching the community for a while and like watching Emily develop that and starting to get to know people on my own, and while I still, you know, am like newer and don't know anyone super well yet, it's been like I actually posted about it yesterday when like I told the team that we were moving to Arkansas. Like Kanya was like, can we keep Reed while you move? Carrie like reached out, Kara reached, you know, everybody in the area was like, oh my gosh, come to my church, come to my small group, like how can we help you, you know, just super excited. And it was just like, you know, I think just, you know, feeling like you have like that community without even like you join and then people just rally around you. It's pretty amazing. So that's definitely been something I've been excited about, and I'm excited to continue to grow.
I love that so much. Oh, I love that. Kanya, you want to go next, girl?
Sorry, I was late putting kiddos down. The husband is home, but somewhere else. Tell me what we're sharing. Sorry.
Okay, so just where you're from, how long you've been with Plexus, and then just something that you're really thankful for that has come through Plexus. And then we'll go through a few more people, and then we can do a quick Q&A with Tam.
Sure. So I'm from Northwest Arkansas. I've been with Plexus for it'll be 5 years in February, 4 or 5 years in February. But I just dove back in this past February, so a year ago in February. And I think I'm most thankful for probably the relationships that have formed. I have probably made some really good prayer warriors here. I have told some nitty gritty to people that I don't even tell that I see in person here. I look up to so many women. I've had so many mentors, and just like, I need to be more like that. I need that from her, and this from her, and this from her. And that will help. That helps me be a better me. And just taking those little nuggets from each person just helps me grow personally, business, as a mom, as a wife, and spiritually. I think one thing I will say, Emily's leadership and always bringing everything back to Jesus. I used to have a huge shame and like, I don't want to be too Jesus-y and bring Jesus into everything and put that off. But Emily, you always bring things back to Jesus. And that encourages me reminds me like, bring Jesus back into the conversation, and it's okay. And you're not going to be too Jesus-y for people, or too plexus-y, or whatever the two thing is. You're either going to be too much or not enough, and it's okay to be that. And so learning that has been a huge lesson for me, because I tend to look side to side in all things in life. And so in this business, you can't do that. And it's taught me to not do it in motherhood, wifehood, in ministry, and all the things.
I love you, Kanya. If you do not know Kanya yet, your part of your life is missing. Whenever I got to go in June to Arkansas, when like half of our people got COVID, that was awesome. She actually slept in the same bed with me, and she had COVID, but I was fine, which was awesome. But her story is amazing. And what she's been through, and not just with Plexus, but like what she's been through in her life, and the joy that like oozes out of her, that's a really terrible word to use, but I don't know the other word, shines out of her for Jesus, is like the most beautiful thing you will ever know. I mean, look, she's crying right now. Like we are so blessed to have her on our team. So if you don't know her yet, get to know her story. And Connie, you can freaking do this. So stop holding back. You can do this, girl. Okay, Joanna.
Okay, hi. Where do I start? Well, Tamara, I probably saw your very first post about Plexus. 2013, is that when you started?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I had Ellis, my first son. And I was like, I remember sitting on the couch and showing Brandon my phone, and I was like, look what my friend Tamara's doing. I really think that I should try this. And he was like, scam. It's not going to last. And I was like, I really like had this like urging in my spirit to do it, but I had a lot of resistance and a lot of like, I'm in corporate America. So like in my head, I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And then I see you just kind of rise on up the chain, and I was like, I don't know, like, and then my friend at work was like, my sister, we're just gonna join, it's no big deal. And so I did, even though it's like really like want to do it with Tamara or somebody on her team. And anyway, so I just joined with her just to join, and then ended up being like, no, this is wrong, I gotta get this right. And then Emily reached out to me. I know I shared this on the team page.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever heard that part of it. So Anyway, I'm from Northwest Arkansas and just moved to Nashville in 2018 and in November. So just at 2 years. So it's just been a whirlwind. And like, part of me wonders, like, what if I had to, all the what ifs play through your brain. Like, that would have been like 7 years ago. Had I done that, maybe I didn't have to go through all the job struggles that I've gone through. But anyway, I mean, the Lord has definitely been faithful and provided for us and given us great opportunities. But I don't know, just because I always just have that in the depth of like of my mind and my spirit. So anyway, so I just have my life is crazy busy. I just bought a franchise for an upscale children's consignment event. If you live in Northwest Arkansas, you probably know Realanis. And so I bought a franchise for here. So I run it twice a year. And so it's just been wild and crazy. So it's kind of made that on top of my corporate job has kind of like made me take a step back in Plexus for a while. But hopefully we'll just get the kick in the butt that I need to with this 100-day reach out,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're doing it. And I think Joanna's a really great example, real quick, of if somebody's on your heart, you need to reach out to them, because she has said, and I'm sure that Tamara kicks herself, but she has said that she waited for Tamara to message her. She waited for Tamara to send her a message inviting her, and that didn't happen. And so she joined with me, the sloppy seconds, but she was waiting for somebody from Tamara or someone with Tamara or from her team to reach out to her. So I think that that's a beautiful charge for us. Like, you have no idea who is waiting for this.
Yeah.
You have no idea who is calling, like crying and saying, I'm tired of 12-hour days away from my children. I need something different.
Mm-hmm.
Joanna, were you going to say something?
Yeah, well, yes, because there's a couple of lessons in this. One, as you're sharing that, Joanna, I'm like going, I had no idea. Joanna was also on my list with Emily. I was scared to reach out to Joanna. I was also scared to reach out to Emily, but I'm telling you this to share this with you. I had, Joanna, I don't know if you remember this, but I had messaged you about Arbonne when I did Arbonne, and you turned me down. You were nice, but you were like, I'm not interested in that. And so I was so scared to go back to you about Plexus, even though you literally were in, I'm going to find that piece of paper one day. You were in like my top 10 list. It was on a yellow piece of legal pad paper, and you were the only one in that top 10 I didn't reach out to within my first 6 months.
I think I went back.
Yeah.
Because I was really curious. I was like, I wonder if Tamara ever messaged me after I joined Emily's team. And so I went back to our Facebook messages and I scrolled all the way back. And remember when Facebook created the separate app for Messenger?
Yeah.
My phone was too full and I couldn't download that Messenger app.
Yeah.
And I think it was about the same time you messaged me about Arbonne. And I don't think I even responded to you about it. Because I went back and I was like, she reached out to me about Arbonne. Like, I never even got it. How Emily, you say sometimes, like, we're all so busy. Sometimes you just don't get a message. Maybe I did, but it wasn't like till late. I didn't even remember the Arbonne. It was like not even in my thought. So I think that's so interesting because it's a lesson in you never know what people were doing or dealing with at work or at work plus home plus church plus everything else.
And I'm so glad we're fleshing this out in front of them, because that also, like, I allowed that fear to hold me back and thought, because in my mind, whether you did or you didn't, in my mind, I had, oh, she turned me down about Arbonne. I'm so embarrassed to come back and like talk to her about Plexus. Like, I went through this process in my head, and then lo and behold, you're not thinking I'm crazy. You're thinking, this is kind of on my heart. I wish she would message me. And that makes me like I'm gonna have to work that out tonight. But
I think it's a cool story because it all comes full circle.
Yeah,
I know where you're supposed to be, but
and I totally believe in God's timing and His sovereignty, because I used to get on to Emily all the time. She's like, but you know what? I probably wouldn't be where I am if I would have accepted it from the beginning, because I was not ready. And so, I totally believe in His sovereignty and His timing. And maybe Emily would have taken the products for a month and then pooped out, and she wouldn't be here today if I would have like pushed her or, you know, tried so much harder to get her jumping on board 6 years ago, you know? So anyway, but I do think there's really good lessons to learn there on both ends of that spectrum about if something's on your heart, like do not let the fear of what someone might think stop you.
Or create those stories, those red light stories that you created that she didn't even know about. Okay, we've got 2 more gals and then we can do a quick Q&A. Elaine, do you want to share a little bit?
Sure. Just Emily's Boise bud, and I've been doing Plexus, the products and the business, for 3 months. And had I gone with her the first time she asked me, it would be like 3 years and 3 months. So of course, you know, kicking myself, but just at the time, I had gotten off social media, quit all that, and poor thing, she thought it was because of her, and it had nothing to do with her. But my husband and I just weren't at a place then that we felt like this was the right thing for us. And so seeing the proof of the pudding, I mean, she has just like blown this business away. And so it's so neat to see what Emily has accomplished with this and the people that she's touched. And she never asked me again. But finally, all of a sudden one day, it's like, okay, I got to do this. Because I'd been in the work world, then I had kids, and I stayed home. And I stayed home till my youngest was in 1st grade, and then decided I wanted to get a job that had the same schedule as them. So I got a job in the school district, which has been great, but it's just not extremely fulfilling. Like, I don't feel like I use my business gifts with that very much. And so this, I feel like, is an outlet where I can totally use everything that God has given me and those strengths. And so now it's just, I'm in such a, between a rock and a hard place, because I love Plexus and the business and I just want to go crazy with it. But I still work for the school, and I don't feel like I'm at a place where I can step down and kind of leave them without a person in my position for the rest of the school year. So right now it's this juggling act, and I think there's not enough time in the day to do everything well. So it's trying to figure out the priorities, but thankful for this opportunity. I just have to figure out how to make it all pan out well.
Have you watched the Cassie Rainey and Kyle Rainey Diamonds in December? Them and the Megan Milikovic. I think I put it in our little thread. It's the one I think I put in today. That one was from Sunday. So what is today? Today's Monday. So that was from yesterday. It is so good. That one and Megan Milikovic, they talk exactly about that. They talk about having balance. They talk about having, like, getting rid of the chaos and creating organization, because we all are busy. Like, regardless if you are a single college girl or somebody that's raising 10 kids, like, life is crazy busy. And so those are 2 really, really good ones, Elaine, that I would encourage you to go and watch, to give your soul some rest. And no, because that's one of the things that Cassie Rainey said, was that it does not matter how fast you get there. You want to protect those boundaries, though, because she talked about how she just sees so many people who like skyrocket and then they get so burned out because they have no boundaries, and that's all that they do. All they think, all they do is plexus, plexus, plexus. And they sacrifice a lot of really important things, and then that turns into resent, and they don't have boundaries, and then they quit. And so I think not slow and steady. I mean, you definitely want to have great speed and you want to be consistent, but fruit will come with your consistency. Even if you're just carving out a few minutes a day or 30 minutes a day or an hour a day in different increments, but just being consistent and having those boundaries is really important. Okay, Melanie, and then we'll move on over. Did you figure it out? I'm asking you to unmute. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Sorry, I don't know what this is. The kids usually use the laptop to play Minecraft with each other. And so I don't know what they did. So I live in Beebe, Arkansas, and yes, same song and dance that several of you have. Emily shared Plexus with me, I guess 2 or 3 years ago, and I bought the products, and that's about it. I had the products and didn't take them, and um, my husband was not on board, and that kind of played into it a lot. But started them again at the end of August, and again he was not on board. But I'm kind of bullheaded, and so stuck with it. And so I've been on the products for about 3.5 months, and I've been doing the business for about 2 weeks. So that's about all I know, guys.
Well, and Melanie's story is so beautiful because I've shared a lot of her story with you guys because it's so inspirational. I mean, you guys, and this is in no way like talking bad at all about you, Melanie, because I ignored Tamara for 18 months and at one spurt of time. But, she signed, and I didn't know her all that well. We were both buyers at Dillard's together, so I didn't know her all that well. But she signed, and then I never heard from her again. I was trying to give good customer care. I was trying to check in on her, but she wouldn't respond. And so then, obviously, like, she just kind of fell off because she wasn't taking her product. She wasn't responding. And so that, like, I didn't know how to handle that. And so we just kind of let that kind of stopped, right? Like, for a few years, that, not relationship, but it wasn't like we were like super close anyways before all this. And
it was training.
Yeah.
It was training for you, Emily.
Then years later, out of the blue, she's like, okay, I know it works. I had some pride issues with this. I didn't want it to work because it was Plexus, because it was network marketing, but I got over that. I've tried everything else, and I know that this works. I want to do this. I want to do triplex. I'm going to do all that. Like, she just knew everything. And then she just signed up. That was very much like Elaine as well. Like, it was just easy. They signed up. She started to see beautiful changes. I mean, she did not start slow with her products either. She like went all in. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to have diarrhea for weeks because she was like all in. But then she started to see beautiful changes with her skin and with her fatigue and all the things. And she's like, okay, I want to do this. I want to go all in. I'm doing this business. And y'all, it's been so fun for me, like just seeing her just have this fire and this excitement. And she's like going and doing all these trainings, much like Elaine too. I mean, you two are my newest people doing this. And it's like, you guys have this passion and this fire, and it's really, really inspiring. And I'm very, very thankful for you, for all of you. And I'm thankful to be doing this together. And I really hope that this time is kind of connecting all of our hearts where you guys get to know each other a little bit better. There's so many of you that are in Arkansas. So as soon as COVID stuff subsides, then hopefully we can all get together and get to know each other. And it's a beautiful community. But does anybody have any questions specific for Tamara? No question is a stupid question. She is a professional here. She has really great wisdom, grown very, like a ton of teams. And I don't know if you guys know this, but she's like one of the top, like, yeah, I don't know if you're still top 3, but I mean, she's like one of the top, tippy top earners of our company. So we're like in with royalty right now. Anybody have any questions?
I have one, and it may be a dumb question. So, so I struggle with, there are so many testimonies. Like, how do I know which ones to post? Or, I know, there's the, the rules for like making claims and that kind of stuff, but I struggle with, how many to post and which ones to post. So any tips on that would be awesome.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is like, what speaks to you? So like, if you read something that kind of grabs at your heart, then it's likely to grab at someone else's heart. Another thought would be, if you know someone is specifically struggling with energy levels or migraines or lupus or whatever it may be, then you go and you search for those testimonies for those people. Like, not even just to post, but you say, hey, Caroline, like, I know you have struggled with lupus for years. Please do not think I'm a crazy person for coming to you about this, but you have been on my heart for a couple of weeks, and I've been doing some research for you. I've been digging a little bit, and I wanted to share a couple of these stories that I found while I was digging, because if this could even have a chance of helping you and you're open to it, I want to be here to share it with you. So super connection and relational. But yeah, as far as how many times to post testimonies, I mean, when I first started, I didn't do hardly any product education. I was like testimonies through the wazoo, and probably because that is what drew me in. And that's when I started asking questions and doing my own research, was the testimonies I was seeing. So I would say, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week. But I think more importantly, you definitely want to share those on social media. But I think more importantly is conversations you're having with people, or people that come to your heart. Like, go do some research for them, show them that you're taking the time to see if you can help them. And always in an approach of, if this is even a possibility to help you with this, not plexus is the cure all, it's definitely going to help you with this. Like, that feels like so salesy, and I'm sure you wouldn't do that anyway. But I have seen messages like that where people are like, you have to try this because it will work, it will do this. But more of an approach of like, maybe this is an option for you.
Melanie, were you also talking though about like compliance, like sharing on your social media and what you can and can't share? Is that another kind of part of that question?
Yes, kind of, sort of. I mean, I'm so new that any tips or tricks, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not the compliance police.
Okay.
So I probably don't pay attention to that as much as I should. What I kind of go by is not saying definites, like it will heal diabetes, it will change your blood sugar, like any definites. That's basically how I check myself. I just stay away from that, because regardless of compliance, I can't guarantee, I have had people on my team, y'all, literally type 2 diabetics, and they have normal blood sugar now. They take no insulin. They take no metformin, which is a very common pill for diabetics, who you could say it's like killed their diabetes, like because their blood sugar is totally normal now. There's other people that it hasn't done that for. So our bodies are all different. And the longer you're in this, you're going to have these testimonies that you're like, oh my gosh, this is freaking mind blowing. I cannot believe it has helped change so many different people's lives in this way, this way, this way. And then you're going to have other people who don't have those same results. And whether that's a consistency issue, seen that a lot, whether it's only trying it for 1 month versus giving it 90 days, you're going to see that. So I think just not compliance wise, just not guaranteeing anything is what I would stick to. To me, that's simple. So it's easy to kind of abide by.
What other questions do we have? How do you encourage your people who are really fearful? Maybe they do have a skeptic husband, or maybe not maybe, because I think the majority of us who've started this were very afraid to message, very afraid to post. Do you have any insight to that?
Well, I think, first of all, just recognizing it is normal. Like, that's something that just about everybody goes through. I mean, I still have fears that come up from time to time, even though I've been doing this for so long, because at our core, we're worried about what people think. And we can say all day long, like, I don't care what anybody thinks, but at our core, we do. We want people to like us and approve of us, and all that stuff. Like Tanya was saying earlier, like, you don't want to be too Jesus-y, because that might bother somebody, or you don't want to be too plexus-y because that might offend somebody. And so I think just first of all, recognizing that that's normal. And then something, whenever I had lots of fears and lots of things that felt just uncomfortable, you guys, something I would tell myself a lot is, if I'm not uncomfortable, I'm not growing. So if I'm comfortable in everything I'm doing in this business, I'm probably not growing too much. And so I think that is something to just kind of catch yourself on. Like, if you find yourself feeling scared to do something, then that is probably something you really need to do. And if it's out of your comfort zone, I can promise you guys this, and my daughter is sneaking in here. Can you give me just a second? Just a second. That if something feels uncomfortable, but you do it anyway, that comfort zone is going to expand and expand and expand. And then those things that felt really hard, they're not going to be as hard. Like, I can literally look you all in the eyeballs and promise you that your comfort zone will expand as you push yourself to do those things. And that's with anything in life, not just plexus, right? Did I answer that question? I already forgot what the question was. Oh, the fear. Yeah.
Girl, you blew through it. It was good. Okay, what else? Connie, why do I always love to just pick on you? What questions do you have? It's just because I love you. I know Carrie has some. I know everybody has some.
I think mine's a ridiculous question. Like, so I started Plexus because we do live paycheck to paycheck, and we went to one income about 3 years ago. What's it like just to not have to worry about your finances? Like, in the sense of like, if you want to buy a ridiculous money number something, what is that?
That makes me want to cry. Well, I do want you to know that I have not always been there. I mean, I was a mystery shopper, y'all, for Papa John's Pizza and Wendy's and Arby's. And that literally is how we fed our family several nights a week. And my husband was working every other weekend, even though like the school, he had to hide it from the school because you are not supposed to work in PA school. It's so intense that 3 years. But we were living paycheck to paycheck and on savings that I had saved from a previous job. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, to just not have debt is just such an amazing feeling. You know, I don't share a lot about the things that we give because I don't know. I don't, but I mean, you know, to be able to help my mother-in-law who lives very paycheck to paycheck, she's in her 70s, to buy her a car, and just to see the joy and like the peace that gave them, because they have sacrificed so much for their 5 children. And so just to be able to do that has been such a joy for us. Yeah, I mean, what is it like? It's freeing. It's freeing to not have to worry about money and not to have to worry about how much I can give to others. I mean, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. And it's not one that I ever get used to. My husband and I sometimes will just look at each other and go, like, what is this? Like, how did we get here? You know? And I don't ever take it for granted. I do not ever take it for granted. So did that answer your question? And I want that for all of you. I mean, and y'all, we had that way before where I'm at now in my business. Like when I was Emerald, the first month I went Emerald, I was like, okay, we're going to pay for this last semester of your schooling in cash. Like, I think we can do this. And my husband's like, there's no way. I'm like, no, we're doing it, because then we'll take less school loan debt on when you graduate and we'll get this paid off faster. And so that is like what I started pushing all my money towards, is to get that last semester paid off in cash. And that was like the first time that I was like, there's really like, there's freedom here. And I think we can get out from under debt. And I don't remember who mentioned it, but my husband was skeptical until I took him to Hawaii. I will never forget this moment until I took him to Hawaii. This is good for you to hear, Joanna. Until I took him to Hawaii, we were sitting there and he like wasn't saying anything. And he is an introvert, but I was like, there's something different about this silence. Like, he's being really quiet. And I was like, what's going on in your mind? And let me tell you something. This was like 6.5 years ago, and Plexus like does way bigger now, way bigger. But even then, he just starts looking around. He goes, "This is unbelievable. Like, I get it now. I get it now, and I'm really proud of you, and like the changes this is making for our family." But it was not until then, until we're sitting in Maui, that he saw like the beauty of it. Before that, it was just like, oh, posting on Facebook, messaging people. He didn't see the community and the culture and the leadership that this company has. And I'm talking about like our corporate leaders. Unbelievable, the integrity of those men. And for him to experience that is what kind of opened his eyes. And ever since then, he's been a big support for me. And it wasn't just Maui. It was seeing like the beauty of all that coming together and realizing it was bigger than just posted on Facebook.
Kanya, you are such a lover of people. You are the strongest Enneagram 2 I've ever seen. And so I can't wait for this to happen for you, because I think Tamara and I are very similar. And I think you are like us as well. Like I was telling Carrie today on Marco Polo, I bought a pair of yoga pants for 99 cents at the thrift store. Like I still only go to the thrift store. That's all I do. I only go to the thrift store. But when our friends, like Zach and Catherine Kruger, who we don't really know all that well, are like struggling, and he's on his deathbed. You better believe that my husband and I are going to write a $700 check or a $1,000 check because we want to bless them. I'm still living my life where we only shop thrift stores and only shop yard sales or only shop clearance racks, but we're able to turn around and bless those people because we were always on the receiving end of those blessings. And so I cannot wait for this to be for you, because I know how much you love people deeply. And so I want that to be a big goal for you too. And then just like we talked about with Elaine, like just every day, do something to move the needle forward in your business, and having that communication. I was telling Melanie this the other day, communicate with your spouse, your goals, your short-term goals, your long-term goals, your 6-month goals, all of the goals that you have, and create small milestones to get there. Don't do huge, massive goals at first, because that feels a little defeating. That's like, oh gosh, there's no way that I'm going to be able to make $1 million in a year, and I'm only making $200 right now. There's no, like, that's going to defeat you. But if you do small goals, then you can check off those milestones, and that's going to get you there. It is not a sprint. It is a marathon, but being consistent and continually practicing, continually stretching that muscle, continually being okay with growing that, what was that Melissa Eichenhorst said? Were any of you guys on that call? Oh, shoot. I can't remember, but just like you're constantly growing that failure tolerance. That's what it was, the failure tolerance. Grow that. Fail forward all the time. I know that we've taken so much of everybody's time, but does anybody have any other question?
If you don't, I want to say something really quick. I used to say this myself, and I don't say it anymore, but I used to tell people, you can grow your business in the nooks and crannies. And I no longer believe that. And here's why. What I feel like nooks and crannies are is like, oh, I'm in the car line, I'm going to post really quick. I'm not going to put a lot of thought into it, but here, copy and paste, post. Okay, nooks and crannies. I did my business for the day. And I used to kind of believe that maybe you could do that, but instead, I want to encourage y'all, for I know how busy you are. We talked about that at the beginning, to get with your shareholders, your spouse, your kids, if they're of that age, and carve out the time that you're actually going to sit down and do your work. That is so important. I'm still doing that with my husband today. Then there's no surprise if you need to go do a training, or if you need to go and say, I'm going to get 50 of these messages, done this week for my reach outs. I'm carving out this time, and they already know about it beforehand. My husband even tells me, he's like, put it in the calendar. If you're working from 10 to 1, I want to see it in the calendar. Like, I'll know in my head, he's a planner, but that you're doing that. And so that's respectful to your partner too, because you're including them in on what your work time is going to be. And so I think just coming to that time, and also with a priority list, you guys, not like, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, let me think about what do I need to do. No, you have your list of the 10 people you need to follow up with, the 10 people you're reaching out to, the social media posts that you're going to make. You've been kind of mulling over in your mind, and you're going to spend that 10 minutes, carving that out and getting that up, messaging your level ones, whatever it is. Like, know how you're going to spend that 30 minutes, not your nooks and crannies, but your 30 minutes or your hour. I remember in the beginning with Emily, she's like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know. I'm so overwhelmed. And I was like, you need to get a babysitter. Do you remember me telling you that? I was like, can you get with your mom and say, will you watch my kids Monday, Wednesday, Friday from this time to this time, because I need to work? And she did it, you guys. She did it. She put that focused time on those focused days, and she had a plan when she went into those work hours. So let's get the nooks and crannies thoughts out of our mind, and instead think about like mode of action. Like, what is my mode of action in the time I do have that's planned? How many times did you come in here? Y'all, this child will not leave me alone.
That Abigail, sweet girl.
She turned 2 the day after I joined, and look at this long, 9.5-year-old.
Sweet girl. Sweet girl. Well, I encourage every single one of you to go watch that Cassie Rainey video. Go watch the Megan Milkovic, because they talk exactly like Tamara was saying, because just like I said with me being Joanna's sloppy seconds, don't let your business be your sloppy seconds. don't let your business be an afterthought, because if you're sitting here with these dreams and these goals of, I want to be at this place, I want to be able to quit my job, I want my husband to be able to go with me to Mexico or Hawaii, and him to say, I see it now, I get it now. If you have those big goals, you can't be giving like tiny little shoddy amounts of your energy and your effort. You can get your work done quickly, but it has to be intentional and planned out. And so you guys are going to see, we'll end with this. You guys are going to see we're doing our 100-person reach out starting December 26th. And I have spent all day today, like doing all of the content for our prep. Our prep post for this will go out at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every day, starting tomorrow until Christmas Eve. And it's exactly like Tamara said, you're creating your list of people so you know who you're going to message. You're gathering some message examples so that way come time to start messaging, you're not scrambling. You already have some ideas of what you're wanting to send. You're going to be engaging with your people. You're talking to your spouse and to your family and letting them know what you're doing, and you're trading in maybe that hour of sleep in the morning to do this work. Like, you've got a plan of action of when you're doing it, who you're messaging, what you're messaging, and why you're messaging. And so I want you guys to really utilize those prep posts, not just for this 100-person reach out challenge, but for your business in general. I think it's going to be really, really good. And so I'm very grateful for every single one of you. Yes, Miss Tamara?
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Watch my head as you're saying, and I know, guys, we got to jump off here. Going into 100-person reach out, like, I just want to encourage you, there are going to be days that you are not motivated to do it, but that is where self-discipline kicks in, right? So it's like thinking about like church camp. Anybody go to church camp like as a youth? Like, you're so passionate and you come home, you're going to do all these things, you're excited, and then like 2 days later, it's like back to normal life. That's probably how all of you feel right now. You're like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing the prep, I'm getting the examples, I'm going to make my list ready, and then you're into day 2 and you're like, I don't feel like doing this today. That is where the discipline comes in. Like, none of us, whether it's eating healthy or working out or taking our supplements or whatever it is, we're not always going to feel like it, right? But if we're disciplined because we're committed to the bigger picture, our short-term sacrifices for the long-term gain. I said that to myself, that exact phrase, all the time in my first like 2 or 3 years. Short-term sacrifices, Tamara, because you have the long-term picture in mind. That's exactly how this will be. Like, don't allow how you feel to dictate what you do.
So good. Well, if you guys have other questions, you know that Tamara's on our thread, this level 1 thread. She loves me, so she loves y'all. So she's intentional with our team. And so I know that she is very much a helper too, and she wants you all to succeed just as much as I do. So any question you have.
So special to me, like, for real. Like, don't tell anybody, but y'all are like totally my favorites.
So reach out to her individually or reach out to her on that thread. No question is a stupid question. Just keep moving forward. And if you have things that you're being held up on, things that you're struggling with, don't do that on your own. Come to me. Come to a power partner. Let us help you, because I guarantee you that we also have had that struggle. We also have had that hold up, and we want to help you.
Yeah. Say, I'm scared to do it today, or I don't feel like doing it today. And then someone's going to come in there and pick you up and encourage you to keep moving the needle, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, I've got this recorded. So I loved the verbiage that you used, Tamara, when you were sharing with Melanie about like how to send those testimonials, how to ask for that. So like I said, I've got this recorded. I will upload this to Zoom and I'll put it in our thread. And I encourage everyone to go back and take a listen to that little section, specifically that section, and use that for that ask. That's a beautiful, non-intrusive, heartfelt way to share this with people that you know could benefit. You guys, thanks for being on. I love you all so much. We'll see you later. Thanks, Tam. Bye.